Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. Today we are going to continue our How to Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Building 101 with Part 2. Before we begin, I ask that if you enjoy this video or find it informative, consider subscribing for more content like this. Share this video with someone you know who wants to get into deck building. In Part 1, we discussed choosing and learning a deck. In Part 2, we will discuss making adjustments and rogue matchups. Lads, before this video truly takes off, I'd like to recommend you check out my friend Alexis on Alexis YouTube. She does pack openings, anime reviews, and Duel Links content. She may be a different voice than you are used to, but super fun nonetheless. Let her know Patrick from Fusion YGO sent you. Link in the description. But now, on with the video. Making adjustments. When making adjustments, you have a few lines of thought you have to take into account. So I have outlined 4 of them to help you understand a more competitive thought process. Let's dive right into it. So, when making adjustments, it is important to note what decks you are going to see. This works for any level of competitive play. If you play at locals, what are the popular strategies? Regionals or YCS? What is the current meta? Make adjustments on your surroundings. What do you need? This part ties back into learning the deck. What cards don't advance your game state? What cards can you use to combat the meta? For example, you play in a locals with a large amount of trap-based decks, and you have Droll and Lockbird as a meta call for regionals. At locals, you could put in back row removal, such like Cosmic Cyclone, over Droll because it is unneeded based on the meta you're playing in. What cards work against the meta? I touched on this a little bit at the end of the last section. Knowing the weaknesses of the top decks is important in deck building. Is your deck naturally a good matchup against the top decks? If so, you build it to have outs to the other meta strategies you don't do well against. The best way to find these weaknesses are 1. Meta-analysis. Most Yu-Gi-Tubers talk about these and the deck weaknesses. Number 2. Play against them. Trial by fire is a good way to learn and how to play around common cards. And finally, play the deck yourself. This helps you have a better feel for how a deck is supposed to work, making you better equipped to beat it. Side versus main. The final question you need to ask yourself when making adjustments is, does this deserve to be main or side decked? How many decks does this help me beat? I personally typically try to build my main deck to perform well going first or second. With my side, I build it to go against certain decks. Rogue matchups. Now let's talk about the rogue matchups. These are decks that have a good matchup against one or more of the top strategies, but typically have shortcomings against the other meta decks or where consistency is involved. The best way to plot how to prepare against these is to take a few things into consideration. First, what are the popular rogue strategies? This question and correct answer can make or break your tournament experience. You could typically find your answer through meta breakdown videos, but knowing what they are is only the first step. The next thing you need to know are what are the weaknesses of the top rogue strategies. Most of the time, but not always, those top rogue decks had been meta before. Their weaknesses typically haven't changed that much. If you are unsure, looking at deck profiles in depth can be a good way of discovering choke points. Finally, after breaking down your rogue matchups, see what you are already playing that functions as a counter to those decks. Then fill in any open space with cards that directly help you where you need it. Alright lads, that is going to conclude part 2. In part 3, we will be going over one of the most important skills in the game, side decking, and how to use it. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and consider subscribing. If you want to help support the channel, you can buy shirts off our Teespring and cards from our TCG Player store. Links are in the description. And until next time, lads, good fun. Have luck.